Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're exploring a pretty wild concept. What if the absolute most powerful medicine cabinet in human history wasn't a modern pharmacy or some high-tech lab, but actually a garden? Specifically, we're taking a look at the plants and herbs described in the oldest book ever written and discovering how they function as highly precise pharmacological agents. I am so pumped to guide you through this, because the connections we're about to make are literally mind-blowing. You know, it's incredibly easy to read ancient texts and just kind of assume the plants they mention are there for poetic imagery, right? Like just background detail. But as you'll see today, that couldn't be further from the truth. These herbs were, and absolutely still are, highly effective medicines. And honestly, the best part, modern clinical research just keeps confirming over and over again that the folks using these plants thousands of years ago understood their pharmacology with stunning accuracy. Okay, let's dive into this. We've got a great roadmap today. We're covering 1. History's most powerful pharmacy. 2. Taxed spices, mint and cumin. 3. Desert survival, garlic and coriander. 4. Sacred smoke, hyssop and frankincense. 5. The 100-pound gift, aloe. And finally, 6. Observation over microscopes.
Section 1. History's most powerful pharmacy, from scripture to science.
So we're setting out to prove that ancient civilizations didn't just, stumble around in the dark. They actually mapped human physiology perfectly, long before clinical labs and biochemistry degrees were even a thing. Ancient people knew exactly what these plants did to their bodies, and this brilliantly illustrates our point right out of the gate. On one side, you have the ancient practice of chewing fresh mint leaves after a heavy meal. Now, for the longest time, we just assumed, they just wanted fresh breath. But on the flip side, modern science shows us that mint has documented antimicrobial activity against several oral pathogens. So that ancient habit, it wasn't just freshening breath, it was simultaneously destroying bacteria. They aren't separate functions, they are the exact same function. It totally bridges thousands of years of history in one simple observation.
Section 2. Taxed spices, mint and cumin.
These two plants held such intense economic and medicinal value in the ancient world that the religious and political elite literally taxed them. The Gospel of Matthew, chapter 23, notes that the scribes and Pharisees were meticulously tithing, or taxing, mint, dill, and cumin. Think about it for a second. You don't tax a weed that nobody cares about, right? The very fact that mint and cumin were formal commodities tells you they had immense, widely recognized value back then.
Let's look at exactly why mint was so incredibly valuable. The primary active compound in mint is menthol. Modern randomized controlled trials show that menthol actually binds to specific receptors in the smooth muscle lining of our digestive tract, causing those muscles to relax. It's wildly effective at reducing irritable bowel syndrome symptoms. But wait, it also activates cold-sensitive receptors in the respiratory tract. Ancient healers used to burn mint leaves and inhale the smoke to treat respiratory congestion. Now, did they know the molecular name of the receptor? No, but they knew exactly how to trigger it to open airways. And honestly, that's a foundational remedy you can still easily use in your own home today.
And then we have cumin, our other tax spice. Today, we mostly just see it as taco seasoning. But historically, it was powerful medicine. Cumin actually stimulates bile secretion from the gallbladder and activates pancreatic digestive enzymes. Plus, it contains massive amounts of iron. In fact, ancient Middle Eastern midwives routinely prescribed cumin for women recovering from postpartum anemia. And get this, a 2014 clinical trial found that cumin supplementation actually accelerates fat metabolism, leading to greater weight loss. Ancient practitioners prescribed it for physiological restoration, and modern science totally confirms it. It fundamentally reshapes how the body processes fuel.
Section 3. Desert survival, garlic and coriander.
When ancient people were surviving in incredibly harsh desert conditions, they relied on a daily layer of biological defense. In the Book of Numbers, there's this fascinating moment where the recently freed Israelites are wandering in the wilderness, and they are literally weeping over the foods they miss from Egypt, and they specifically name garlic. Now, grown adults crying for garlic sounds a bit dramatic, right? Well, that is until you understand exactly what garlic does to the human immune system.
So the crucial piece of the puzzle is how garlic activates. Whole, raw garlic, just sitting on your kitchen counter, is actually pharmacologically inert. It really doesn't do much. But the very second that cell wall is crushed or chopped, boom, an enzyme called alliinase immediately reacts. Within seconds, it produces this volatile new molecule called allicin. And allicin is one of the broadest spectrum natural antimicrobials ever identified. It disrupts bacterial cell membranes, it interferes with viral replication, and inhibits fungal growth all at the exact same time. The Israelites weren't just missing a tasty flavor, they were mourning the loss of a vital biological defense shield. Just a quick tip though, heat destroys allicin super fast. So if you want these same medicinal benefits in your own kitchen, always let crushed garlic sit for a few minutes before you cook it.
Now, when the Israelites first saw manna, they described it as looking like coriander seed. It was their immediate visual anchor. But the medicinal mechanisms here are absolutely astounding. The leaf, which we know as cilantro, contains linalool, which is a really powerful antimicrobial. But even more amazing, the seed has documented anxiolytic properties. Early human trials show it actually affects GABA receptor activity in the brain. That is the exact same receptor targeted by modern anti-anxiety medications. So ancient people were drinking coriander tea for digestion, and they were simultaneously and measurably reducing their anxiety.
Section 4. Sacred Smoke, Hyssop and Frankincense. Ancient priests were essentially and unknowingly engineering the air for physiological healing. Hyssop appears during some of the most dramatically significant moments in ancient texts. It's used on the doorpost during Passover, in King David's famous prayer for purification, and it's even lifted to Jesus on the cross. This plant wasn't just chosen randomly for purification rituals. Modern science shows hyssop contains rosmarinic acid and acts as a potent bronchodilator, which loosens respiratory mucus. But more importantly, it has genuine antimicrobial and antifungal properties. So when ancient laws directed priests to use hyssop to ceremonially cleanse people exposed to disease, that ceremonial ritual was actual literal hygiene.
And then we have frankincense. Now, most people just know it as an expensive gift brought by the wise men, right? But frankincense resin was actually the most sophisticated anti-inflammatory agent the ancient world had access to. The primary active compounds in it are boswellic acids. These acids directly inhibit an enzyme called 5-lipoxygenase, which is a primary driver of the inflammatory cascade in our bodies. Frankincense targets a parallel inflammatory pathway that many standard modern pharmaceutical drugs literally can't even reach.
Now, what's really fascinating is what happens when you actually burn frankincense resin. Researchers discovered that it produces a compound called insensyl acetate, and this compound has documented antidepressant and anxiety-reducing effects. It literally activates ion channels in the brain to elevate your mood. So when ancient priests were burning frankincense in enclosed temple spaces, they were pharmacologically altering the neurochemistry of the room. They were creating an environment that physically made people calmer and more open.
Section 5. The 100-pound gift, aloe.
Let's move to a really dramatic moment in the Gospel of John that involves a staggering financial and medicinal commitment. After the crucifixion, a man named Nicodemus arrives to help prepare the body for burial, and he brings a mixture of myrrh and aloe weighing about 100 pounds. Let that sink in. This is an extraordinary, almost incomprehensible quantity. It represented a massive, massive financial sacrifice. But why aloe? I mean, it definitely wasn't just a fragrance.
Well, the answer lies in the science. Aloe vera contains over 200 bioactive compounds, including a really complex polysaccharide called asamanin. Asamanin is found in the inner leaf gel, and it is highly studied today for its profound immunological and tissue-preserving power. So the ancient application of aloe in a burial preparation wasn't solely symbolic, it was immensely practical because of these exact tissue-preserving and antimicrobial properties.
And aloe's benefits go way beyond just treating sunburns. Clinical trials show that when it's applied topically, it measurably accelerates wound healing and increases collagen synthesis. But internally, consuming the inner leaf gel has documented effects on blood sugar regulation and maintaining the integrity of your gut lining. What's truly incredible here is that independent civilizations all across Africa, the Middle East, and Asia discovered these deep internal and external healing properties thousands of years before any sort of global communication even existed. They all arrived at the exact same conclusion through pure, careful observation.
Section 6. Observation over microscopes.
Let's bring all these mechanisms together to realize something truly profound. Every single one of these effects, mint relaxing the gut, garlic destroying pathogens, frankincense blocking inflammation, was identified by people who had no biochemistry degrees whatsoever. They didn't have electron microscopes, they didn't run randomized controlled trials. What they did have was sustained, careful, multi-generational observation. They watched closely what happened to the human body when they used these plants, and then they embedded that vital survival knowledge so tightly into their cultural and religious structures that it would never be lost. And that leads us to this incredibly powerful realization. Modern science did not discover these pharmacological benefits. It simply confirmed them. With all the advanced high-tech tools we have available today, clinical research just keeps arriving at the exact same places these ancient practitioners arrived at with absolutely nothing but their own experience and the natural world around them.
So I want to leave you with this question. Which biological mechanism surprised you the most today? Was it the volatile allicin reaction of crushed garlic? Was it coriander providing actual measurable neurological anxiety relief? Or maybe it was nicotine showing up with 100 pounds of tissue-preserving aloe? Let me know what you think. If you enjoyed this explainer and want to uncover more fascinating truths where history meets science, make sure to subscribe. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you in the next one.